Will he still be Arsenal's manager next season? Our Twitter poll on ESPN FC suggesting that no is very much the answer to that question. So all the English papers on Friday can tell you already suggesting that he will be gone at the end of the season. So the question to you three is not should he go. So I think that answer is self-explanatory. But will he go? Stevie?
No.
Will he go? Why not?
Well, because the decision ultimately, as far as we know, is his. And when you're a coach and things have gone great and then things go badly, you always think you can turn that around. You just think you can do it. And the fact he's been there 20 years tells you that he still believes that he can. After not winning the league for so long, he still believes. And even up until last week, he was talking about how they can still do things and push the club forward. So if it's his choice, he's going to be there.
I don't think it's any longer his choice. I think it has become inevitable. Now, Arsenal have not finished outside the top four since Arsene Wenger has been manager of that football club. I think this is the year that they finish fifth. A fifth place has got Bruce Rioch, the sack, by the way, back in 95, 96. I just, as you look at this team, there is nothing that says to me they have the fight to get themselves out of this rut. And enough players are pulling their weights to find themselves in a tightening top four race. Finish outside the top four, I don't see how Arsene Wenger stays on. The bigger issue for him is how this affects his legacy.
But that is a caveat. That is a condition. If they finish outside of the top four. But if they finish inside the top four, then maybe is one of those cases of this too shall pass. Because we've been here before. This has happened before. We've seen this story, and it feels like, well, maybe it's time for Wenger to go. Right now it seems like it's a perfect time for him to go. And yet, we seem to have the same discussion year in and year out. It certainly feels like Arsene Wenger, if it's up to him, I'm with Stevie. There's something in his mind that says, I have the answers and I can fix this. And if that's who's making the decision, then Arsene Wenger.
The manager is spineless, because if he had anything about him whatsoever, then he'd walk. If not now, at the end of the season, he would just announce it now and say, the deal's done, I'm going. The Arsenal board are also spineless, because they must be able to see this as well. How many years and how many times must this happen for people to sit up and say, this club is not going forward? That was an utter embarrassment. That was men against babies, not men against boys. And the only way forward is for the management to change. Simple.
You know what's interesting is that when this draw came out, and we sat here, objectively said, well, Arsenal is out. Arsenal fans would jump back and say, you know what, this is a different Arsenal. Really? Really? This is a different Arsenal? It's exactly the same story. And as simple as the fact that you have top-tier talent on one side with Bayern Munich, and those that pretend to be top-tier talent with Arsenal. Arsenal is the definition of an overrated team, an overrated squad, overrated players. And until they don't sort themselves out and see themselves in the mirror and understand that, you know what, we are not as good as Robert Lewandowski, and we do not have a player as good as Lewandowski. We do not have a player as good as Thiago Alcantara. We do not have as good a players as some of the real talented top-tier teams in Europe. They're going to continue to run into this. And they're running into this in the Premier League. They're running into this in Champions League. They're simply not good enough if you want to win and achieve important things.
I mean, Dan, they were schooled tonight. Schooled. Why would Alexis Sanchez want to sign a new contract at that club? When he's got that type of ambition behind him from the board and the manager and the owners, why would he want to stay? Because he's got more to offer than that, than being in the top four and getting spanked in the Champions League. I mean, he does his bit, he runs around and he tries his best, he can play several positions. Out-muscled now, fought in midfield. You bring Mustafi in, who's a decent player but not a great player, and as Ali said, everybody said, oh, Arsenal, this is a different Arsenal side. They don't even have a natural striker. Alexis Sanchez has got to go and play up there. And who said things at Bayern Munich were not great? And that Bayern Munich were not brilliant? Is this because these people need to get out of bed with Pep Guardiola, right? And stop the love-in and saying, well, this is not Pep's Bayern, it's not very good. He lets the players relax a little bit in training. Well, here's the deal. They're top of the Bundesliga by quite a stretch again, and they've just absolutely marmalised, that's my word from yesterday, marmalised, and I can use it again today, Arsenal. Not that that's very difficult, but shut up about Ancelotti saying, well, this is not Pep. Of course it's not Pep, but he might just win the Champions League.
Now, here's the thing with... Just going back to Arsenal.
Back to Arsenal.
If I'm an Arsenal fan...
If you're an Arsenal fan, and you're still saying Wenger in.
Here's the thing that disappointed me. We saw it in the Chelsea game. Once Alonso scored, heads down, boom, game's over. We saw it again in the second half. They conceded that second goal. There was absolutely no way you saw Arsenal getting back into the match. Where is the drive? Where is the passion? Where is the desire from surely players that want to do better, that want to succeed, that want to win?
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, and it's disjointed. I don't for 1 minute think the players are not putting effort in. Not for 1 minute. Maybe Mesut Ozil now and again, and that's not picking on Ozil. It's fact. He walks about. But most of the players, I think, are trying the best, but they're disjointed, and that comes from the coaching staff. But if you're an Arsenal fan and you're still in this, well, I feel sorry because Wenger's given us some great times, then you're a mug. If you're still in that camp, you are a mug. Right? Because it's just not going in the right direction. That's simple to see. And it's not the reason. It's absolutely not the reason. As Ali said, Koscielny going off, Gabriel coming on is not an excuse. Ospina playing is not an excuse. But you're treating the Arsenal fans with disdain. He's a reserve goalkeeper. And I heard some Arsenal people tell me today, well, Ter Stegen and Bravo did it at Barcelona. Do not compare Arsenal to Barcelona, because in 2015, they wiped the floor with everybody doing this. Arsenal ain't in that position.
You look at a team that is down 2-1, and you mentioned the momentum in that game, it just felt like Arsenal was just going to have to hang on for the rest of the match. Well, if you know that that's how the game is turning, and it's now 3-1, you can't continue to try to play just free-flowing. At some point, if you're really serious about competing, if you're really serious about advancing in the competition, it cannot go past 3. You have to give yourself a chance at home. Arsenal, they continue to play as if, oh, it's all right. It's okay. We really have Bayern Munich where we want them. Bayern Munich, superior to Arsenal in every single aspect of the game, and Arsenal gives goals to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich doesn't need any help. They can do fine by themselves. But when Arsenal is given those sort of opportunities, then you just see a team that lacks that commitment, lacks that competitiveness, lacks that identity, and they have a crisis in terms of what is it that we need to do in order to beat a team of this caliber. They don't know which way to go, because in order to do that, you have to defend well, and it's something that Arsenal doesn't do naturally. They want to be able to play. Well, you cannot play Bayern Munich in Munich. Good luck with that.
It's a well-run club. It is a well-run club, so it's a great club, Arsenal. Fantastic stadium. Always has been an excellently drilled football club, very classy, even when you used to go to Highbury, the old Highbury. Classy place. Well-run club with a football team that is now getting left behind, and that's just the fact.
Meanwhile, Bayern, you look at the SBI, obviously the SBI has them as...
Is this the first 0? Oh!
It's happened once before.
Well, they did get an
in the
away
European
goal.
Cup. I think 1985, Real Madrid against Borussia Mönchengladbach. They did turn it around.
Who turned it around?
Real Madrid.
Yeah, well, not Borussia.
If there's one player that seems to attract the eye more than any other, it's Mesut Ozil. His agent, Shaka, leapt to his defence. Perhaps not surprisingly, he is an agent after all, saying, hey, it's not fair that Ozil is scapegoated. Well, his performances.
Maybe if his performances were, as you would expect, leading up to this, and he had a poor performance, then it would be unfair to heap all the criticism on him. But let's be honest, Mesut Ozil has been poor for a very long time. And when you are a club's record signing, when you are the player who so many are not just relying on, but looking to change this team, to make this team better, and week after week you don't show up, and of course there's going to be questions asked. Of course people are going to be calling your name. I don't necessarily think it's scapegoating, but it highlights a huge issue for Arsenal.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Mesut Ozil has become the flag bearer of everything that the perception of Arsenal is.
Is that fair, though? I mean, his agent's trying to point out that it's not fair at all.
Well, you can go talk to the agent if you want to, but in my eyes, yes, it is fair. You see Mesut Ozil out there and you feel, please, at least move, my man. Move. Do something. Create something. When you have the ball, when you don't have the ball, impact the game. He doesn't do that.
The agent said, well, he doesn't get the ball. He can't create when he doesn't have the ball. Well, guess what? Sanchez plays further up the field than he does. But we see him running around. We see him chasing people. We just don't see Ozil.